Normally, fans, it's about bragging rights and on social media, we're better than you, we do this, we're going to do this to you. Now, they'll be arguing about who is the worst team out of the two. So bad are the results. This is a bottom half clash.
Injury-wise, how's it looking for Spurs?
Yeah, I was just listening to Ange, Mark, earlier on today. I think Vic, as he calls the goalkeeper, is a little bit closer. James Maddison's had a good week training, but I think he's potentially next week. There's a few getting closer and closer. It's been a week that they've needed. They had a bruising week last week, didn't they? And they've got to clear their heads and try and get some sort of performance. But, I mean, boy, oh boy, Manchester United and Tottenham, these are two teams who really, really are in a bad run of form. Normally, fans, it's about bragging rights and on social media, we're better than you, we do this, we're going to do this to you. Now, they'll be arguing about who is the worst team out of the two. So bad are the results. This is a bottom half clash. Claudia, you said this, the middling game. It's not even middling. They're in the bottom half, the pair of them. And at the moment, showing no signs of improving whatsoever. Tottenham with their players back, yes. Now, Manchester United have a couple of injuries, but not that many. They just don't seem to be able to get it together. But performance-wise and results-wise, these two really, really are struggling. And that, where the next win is going to come from. I know Manchester United obviously had the win in the FA Cup over Leicester, that hotly disputed goal from Harry Maguire. But on Sunday, it's so hard to call. It's because of who will, if you like, not buckle, but you just can't see a plan. You can't see any sort of cohesive structure to either of these teams at the moment. So I think it's a nigh impossible game to call on Sunday.
So, Jeff, we're going to change it. Whatever Jeff says, we're taking. So forget battle of the mid. It's battle of the bottom half, as Jeff is saying. And that leads us into our Geico Get More. Because, Jeff, these are two managers who are very set in their ways, and they're not going to change their style of play. So given everything that they're going through, how do you see these two managers getting more out of their squads going into this game?
That was not an affectionate question on Valentine's Day, I've got to say.
I'm so sorry.
Claudia, that was not sent from you to me with love, was it? I mean, look at those. The problem with Manchester United is they just don't seem to get it. They don't seem to gel. Højlund is not really he's not pulling up trees, is he? So, I mean, that's a tap-in for Xerxes. And as in this game, as we said, they were so fortunate to get something out of the game. The winning goal should never have stood. Look, honestly, Charlie's nearly in front of him. He's that far offside. It's ridiculous. I can't see it. I just genuinely can't see, because they've had that many games. He said himself, you've got a new coach who's not as good as the old coach. They've lost 7 out of 11. The record right now is absolutely appalling. If Spurs have got enough bodies on the pitch on Sunday, and we know Ange only plays one way, like it or not, he'll go front foot, full throttle, then they'll have a tough job, to get anything come away from Tottenham on Sunday.
Jeff, speaking of new, big expectations. We've had a little bit of time, emphasis on the little. Whose newer signing do you think is going to step up more in this game? Is it going to be Dorgu? Is it going to be Tell? What do you have a feeler out for?
I thought Tell, he showed a little bit of promise, didn't he? I think it'd be easier for him to settle. Be interested to see whether or not he starts. Dorgu's an accomplished player, but, again, it's settling. Honestly, Christy, the mayhem that surrounds both these. I know I sound like someone who doesn't know what he's talking about, which of course is true. But when it comes to these two, I find it almost impossible to analyse them, because you don't know what you're going to get, do you? When you watch them play, do you see a pattern of play? Tottenham, we know what they do. Boom, straightforward. We know we're going to get that from Tottenham. So then it's just down to personnel. When they click, they're glorious, but they give you so many chances. Will Manchester United, with a week's training, will they have the discipline and the tactical nous to take advantage of that? On the evidence we've seen so far, you would have to doubt it, wouldn't you? But Manchester United, they're not even a team of moments. They're a team of games that have one, maybe two good games, good performances, like when they went to Anfield. They can pull up something like that and they think, yeah, step forward, here we go. And it all dissipates, completely disappears. And we don't see another decent performance for weeks on end. That must be, if you're a Manchester United fan, it must be so frustrating. In fact, that's probably why Lahoud isn't on the show today. He's definitely, yet again,
he needed a little bit of a nap. He needs to rest up emotionally.
Jeff, I know none of us are convinced about the performances of Manchester United. You're right. But when you look at getting the wins, 5 of their last 7 they've won. So do you think that's the most important thing? Or do you still think that they're not on the right track because of the performances?
Marco, they're 10 points from 33.
Yeah, but lately, in the last 7 games.
I'm just not seeing it, Marco. I don't see any signs, particularly that they're going in the right direction. You know, as much as you want to see for a great club like Manchester United, you know, Ruben Amorim has said to us repeatedly, hasn't he? He needs time to work with the players and the players to play his system and the way that he likes to. And he's not going to change. We know exactly how he plays in possession and out of possession. But the players don't seem to be able. They either, I think a big part of it is he doesn't have the correct players to play his system, which makes it ridiculous that they hired a coach who only plays in a strict formation, the 3-4-3, but they don't have the players. So why bring that coach in? That still seems daft, to say the least. Or he's got to just kind of get through. I mean, to a degree, I think both of these sides are hanging their season on the Europa, aren't they? Because they think they can do well in Europe. They've had decent results in the competition. I think a lot of that is at the back of the club's minds with what will decide the fate of them this season. But that's the big one for both of them, because they're going to want to finish as high in the Premier League to save face. They're not going to be qualifying for Europe anytime soon. So that's why the Europa League all of a sudden is even more important for them.
Jeff, let's forget the bottom half of the table now. Let's look at the top of the table. When we talk about the top, you perked up a little bit. You're like, all right, let's talk about this. When we talk about the top 6 teams in EPL, do you feel like these teams are still part of the conversation?
Ooh, what the ones outside the top 6? I mean, Liverpool, it's 14 games to go. They've turned a corner. But they've got a big and a really, really tough schedule coming up. I think they go Wolves, then they go Villa midweek. And Villa have got a really tough schedule as well. Then they've got Manchester City, I want to say. So this could be defining weeks to 10 days for them. Arsenal, can they cobble together a team? Can they come up with any sort of attacking threat? Forest, zero pressure on them, going great guns. So they're very much... You imagine Nottingham Forest end up in a Champions League place. That is a sensational achievement. Chelsea, you know, Brighton tonight. They've lost Nicholas Jackson for the foreseeable future. They don't have a striker either. So they're another one in trouble. Not a great transfer window for them.
Jeff, who do you feel more confident finishing the top 4? Chelsea or Newcastle?
Tough call. Charlie, I would say that's a tough call for those 3. And I also would not rule Bournemouth out of the equation. I really wouldn't. I know it'd be a massive ask for them. But the way they play, they're the great disruptors. They're no respecters of, if you like, club's reputation. And, of course, they haven't had Europe either. So it's going to be a big fight. It looks like England will get 5 places. So that's the good news. But I think we know I'm pretty confident it'll be Liverpool, Arsenal finish. I think Forest will nick 3rd. After that, it's a real lottery, But that's the great thing about it, isn't it? Makes the end of the season so exciting. There's so much to play for. You know, even tonight, Chelsea-Brighton, bit of a grudge match already, you know. Maresca, he was asked 3 or 4 times about Herzl at Brighton, what a great job he's doing. He said, yes, the previous manager was excellent because De Zerbi's his friend. He was given another opportunity. He said, yes, the previous manager was excellent. So there's a bit of needle everywhere. So the beauty of it right now in the Premier League is there's something riding on every single game.